Welcome back. Our discussion is about renewable energy for energizing Indonesia. And we still have Mr. Sujoy Ganguly. He is the CEO and founder of PT Rubik DNA Capital. And don't forget that you can watch Revenews International through live streaming at www.cnews.com. All right, well, we just talked about the global renewable energy scenario and then about the government's vision in implementing the roadmap for developing renewable energy. But then if we're talking about the challenges, what will be them? Why is it so hard for us to develop renewable energy in Indonesia?
The concept has to change. We need to have a radical revolution kind of thinking on the renewable sector, because I personally myself started with non-renewable sector that was basically coal. I started working, I think, 10 years ago. Coal-fired power plant, gas-fired power plant and all, and that's necessary absolutely, because coal is the cheapest power source available all over the world. But days will come when 20 years from down the line, 30 years from down the line, when your coal sources will come down, you will have low calories of coal, your high calories are already exhausted. You got to move to other source of energy. So why the government is having tough time? Because from the investment scenario, the prices are good. I would say the hydro prices have already gone up. As I told you, the solar prices are quite high. It's around 25 cents per kilowatt hour. It's one of the highest in the region. In India right now, the solar cells are pricing around 16 to 17 cents.
All right.
Because of certain incentives the government has given, so the price have come down. Then you go to geothermal, the prices have gone to 11, 12 cents, which is also quite high. But you see, an investor can only come in and put the money if they know the rate of returns are guaranteed, right? So what you need to do is these projects which are renewable, which are open to nature, right? You can't control sun, you can't control water, you can't control geothermal. Geothermal reserves are plenty, but you can't exploit. Why? In Indonesia now you have around 9,000 odd geothermals capabilities there, I think, because as you know, there are a lot of volcanoes and all, but we can only commercially exploit 1,300 megawatts. Why? Because the gestation period for a geothermal project is too high. You need a lot of money for exploring. You know, you put your boat down the well, you got to get your gas up, you need to put a lot of money in the upfront, and then all these kind of expenses are not paid by the banks. It's all paid by the investors. So, and if something goes wrong with your exploration exercise, the whole money is gone. Like as you say that, you know, Medco is very prominent in the geothermal business. There's certain groups from India and China that are also working on that. Pertamina Geothermal is also heavily working on that. All our big guys from oil like Conoco and, you know, on the BP.
But then the result?
But the result is not that good. Chevron is the only company which has invested huge amounts of money, millions and millions of dollars, but they could not get anything in return, not much in return. So I would say that a project like geothermal is a long-term, very, very long gestation period. It can take 3 to 7 years to develop the project. Hydro is faster, so I would say that we should go for hydro first, because government would also get enough, revenues from hydro. PLN can get a lot of electricity from hydro, and then solar. Solar is the next alternative which the government should boost with different kinds of incentives they can get. We can provide tax incentives to the government, to the investors. We have a depreciation policy wherein you can reduce your corporate income tax. We can ask the banks to finance for longer periods, wherein the banks do not have to pay taxes on interest income. We can also help the investors to go for longer periods, wherein they do not have to pay the corporate tax on their income. Why? Because the central government can take up, you know, the tax portion from their balance sheet. So that will help the banks as well as the investors to go for a longer period of loan. In India, what is happening is the banks, the government banks and the private banks are lending of 18 years loan. You know?
18 years loan?
18 years loans for a solar project which is rooftop. I can tell you, minimum 15 years. There are some banks which are lending at 20 years. Why? Because the central bank has to, central bank like Bank Indonesia we have here, they say that whatever you do for solar, we support you completely. You do not have to pay income tax on your income for the first 10 years.
Well, but then it's completely risky.
It's risky, but it has to give you returns, right? It has to give you, because you're doing investments which you do not know what is going to happen. So if you do not have returns at the end of the day, then nobody's coming in, you know, neither small nor big investors. So all depends on how you financially structure a project. The laws are there, and one thing we should do in Indonesia is the land issue, you know, because for any project like hydro, solar, geothermal, you need a lot of land, you know. I mean, it's a huge area of land. You need that. Is it possible for us? I don't know. Is it possible for us to make some regulation wherein the land need not be bought? What I mean to say is we do not need to purchase the land. We can do a rent on the land for, say, X number of years, which can go as 70 to 99 years. Like if I take your relevancy of a property sector in Bali, investors can buy you don't have to buy the land, you can lease the land for 70 years or 99 years, that is possible. Then we need to change the regulation from a procurement level to a leasing level, you know. So the banks have to understand that there's nothing big thing in buying a land, you know. So we need to do something on regulation aspect of for the land, because land is always a problem here.
Okay.
Big projects from PLN, I can tell you, I have 5 projects in my hand in PLN, they're not working because of the land issue.
Okay.
So these are the things which we should do. One is the land, one is the regulation which should be implementable. The number 3 is your pricing. Most important, number 4 is your incentives to the investors, which should be given at day number 1.
Okay.
Then the investors will give you back in return whatever power they commit. And if they do not do that, you can do some stipulations where you can penalize them. You can do a take or pay kind of thing where you have a bonus and penalty kind of structure. So we are willing to do that. But as long as you give me good tariffs, good incentives, then definitely we'll put our money.
Okay, well, we hope the government could hear that, so the government could overcome all the obstacles here. But then, if we're talking about the potential energy resources for Indonesia, to energize Indonesia, well, as you mentioned earlier, but Indonesia has abundant natural resources.
Exactly.
Yeah, so the government could maximize it. Starting from hydropower here,
Yeah.
how do you see its potential to replace fossil fuel?
It will take some time, It will take some. I would say it will take another 2 decades or for something like that, because PLN normally does. PLN, I would say the government normally does exercise what they call the RUPTL, what they call is a load balance. What do you call a forecast of the balance of power. They do for next 10 years, and wherein we can see that currently the hydropower capacity is around 8,000. That can go up to around 15 to 16,000. Geothermal is quite small. Wind and solar are too small. Yeah. So basically renewable sector occupies only around 10 to 12% of your total portfolio. Coal is the highest one. It's around 40-50%, 48%. Oil and gases are the next one, right? So what we need to do is we need to push the fundamentals from investors as well as the financing perspective. The government has made the regulations, but these regulations should be implementable in practice. So we as a practitioner, we as an individual, I'm as an individual or as a practitioner who goes to the field and who tries to do something which is constructive. It doesn't happen. Why? Because we face a number of problems in the field, So to move from non-renewable to the renewable sector, you need to increase your impetus from the government side, yeah, and from the investors will definitely follow suit.
Okay, the shifting trend becomes the obstacles here. Yeah. But then, well, there's not a regulation, but a plan from the government to integrate cattle farms and CPO farms here. Yeah. But we'll discuss it in the later segment. Make sure you're still with us on Revenews International. We still have one more segment for discussion. Stay with us.